Lara's not even here. She did all that and she's not even here. She spent all day making that video and she's not even on screen.
I know. I checked that and it said that I was on, and then I looked up and it was just you three. And I was like, what happened? It just removed me. Guys, I think it's going to be one of these nights, isn't it? It's going to be one of these nights. What can I say? Good evening, everybody. As you can see, we're back, right? After Freaky Friday and all the rest of it. And we've got the wonderful John Spratt, we've got the fabulous Paul Cissell, and we've got Beth Harrington as well. Good evening, everybody.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Oh, I wasn't sure whether you were talking to the viewers at home or you were talking to us then.
Okay, well, good evening. Well, you've got quite a few coming on. They're all jumping on now, so they are. I don't know, can you see the comments? We've got Claire Davis, we've got Dawn Rose, Angel, hello, Angel, Melissa McMillan, Eileen Bathgate, the fabulous Eileen is there as well. Jean Archer as well, Jean Noble. We've got a few Jeans, Jan Oakes, Lorna Scullion. Good evening. Hello, guys. I'm so sorry, Lara Wells. What's happened, Lorna? He flicked his...
She's just sorry.
She's just sorry. I know. She's just sorry.
She's just sorry you weren't on screen when you were meant to be. That big dramatic flames coming up and Lara Wells, here she comes. And
I wasn't there.
There's me.
There's you and there's Beth and there's Paul. Listen, you've got to have a laugh, haven't we? You've got to laugh. Yeah. Oh my God! So we'll better introduce. We'll get back to do more shout outs just shortly. So we'll better introduce, because you might not have seen Paul Cissell's before on my page. And although Beth Harrington we've met on the Supernatural page, haven't we, before? And those of you that don't know, Paul and I have worked together several times a few years back, haven't we, Paul? In fact,
yeah.
We also did. God, what was it? Psychic Idol, was it? We were on the judging panel. Do you remember that?
Oh God, I forgot about that. Yeah, God, that's going back a few years, isn't it?
It is. How long ago was that?
Oh, that must be 15 years, easily.
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
And you haven't aged a day, Paul. Yeah. You haven't aged a day.
More of you, Lara. But it was good fun putting everyone through their paces, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I still speak to you and everything, because I think you and one, didn't they, that year? And I still speak to him. A sterling job. Another Scottish guy, John, you, and he's very Scottish from Edinburgh. There you go.
Fabulous.
One in the end, right? So just to say a little bit about Paul, he's a spiritual medium, author, a published writer, tutor, and paranormal investigator, guys. Paul is one of the busiest and friendliest spirit mediums in the UK and at the present moment, and his appeal spans the generations as he crosses over in search of genuine afterlife communication that is plain for all to see. And Paul has a wonderful manner about him. In fact, you would have seen him last week on Derek Akora's page with Gwen Akora with the charity Pathfinders as well. Paul is a tutor of mediumship and he has his own school, guys. I've been there myself. Wonderful vibe. And it's based in Portsmouth as well, where he is regularly, he's held classes, in fact, for I think, is it over 10 years, Paul?
Oh, more than that now, yeah, 15 years regularly, yeah.
God, that tied in when we were doing the judging and that then. Yeah. So what have you done this year? You've appeared in shows such as Paranormal, Caught on Camera, and Paranormal Unexplained, is that right?
Yeah, so this year it's been a slightly different direction due to COVID, but due to the more kind of paranormal investigations that I've been doing, as a result of that, a lot of the clips were picked up by the Travel Channel over in the States, and so we appeared on that a number of times doing interviews, so that was really good.
Yeah, it was fabulous. I know there's because John's like, I don't think I've met Paul. You know all about him now, John. Here we go. We're going to
yeah, no, I don't think we have met, have we?
I don't think we have. No. I laugh because I say this all the time. Lara will message me at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was talking to Lara's man today. We had a chat on the phone, and he said to me, "Oh, I think you're doing a show with Lara tonight? And I goes, yeah, I think I am. I'm like, but I don't know, because Lara just messages me at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, John, we're doing a live on Monday, Thursday, Wednesday, and whatever. And I just, yeah, whatever, Lara, yeah.
He's not going to say no at 2 a.m., is he?
I'm not going to say much at 2 a.m.
Exactly, right. And listen, once you found out that Paul Cissell, guys, has worked in Dracula's castle, that's got to be the highlight. Before we came on, I said to Paul, so you've worked in Dracula's castle? He said, yeah, I've worked there. So my mind's boggling, you know, and I'm thinking of blood banks, I'm thinking of, you know, like harvesting. You know, he says, yeah, I did the tickets. I thought, oh.
Tickets and executions.
That's right. That's exactly. You knew exactly what I was thinking there, Paul. All right. So he's also a qualified cleaner and assessor. You know that, right? And a podcaster. Because Paul, you've got thousands of followers, haven't you? You've done paranormal investigating, and you're also you studied with the Rhine Institute, haven't you?
No, I've not studied.
Oh no, Beth studied with the Rhine Institute. I think I've got you mixed up, right? I've been with the Rhine Institute yet. You've not done that. I was talking about the paranormal, wasn't I? So, well, this full moon's playing havoc with me, honestly. So tell us about how many years you've done paranormal investigating for.
Are you still talking to me or Beth?
No, you, Paul.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, you went on to Beth, and then I was kind of like, oh, you're going to talk about Beth now. So, well, I've been involved in that as long as I've been involved in mediumship. So, you know, I've been a medium now for 25, 30 odd years, and for as long as that, I've been involved in the paranormal and doing investigations as well. So, you know, done, you know, a huge amount, you know, over the years. So
that's brilliant. I know. So is it longer? No. So you've been a medium for how long? Well,
yeah, so obviously mediumship is my forte. That's where you know, that's where I am. But I think, you know, the paranormal side of it just kind of came along by accident. Never really intended to kind of set out to be a paranormal investigator or even a paranormal medium, and it kind of just naturally dragged me into it. And you know, so over the years, you know, been to many haunted places, and obviously, you know, one of the most famous ones, Dracula's Castle, and you know, worked with many of the people in the industry as well. So it's been good fun.
Paul, did you pick up anything in Dracula's Castle apart from the tickets? Did you actually? Did you? I thought I had to say that because John was going to pick the tickets up. I knew it, right? So I'm going. Did you feel anything there?
I'll be honest with you. Incredibly atmospheric castle. You know, the night we went, you know, it is a typical, as you picture it, it is right in the Transylvanian mountains. It is right on top of a mountain. And the night we went to do the investigation, as we got there to the approach, you could see the castle in the background as we're going up the windy road to it. And there was the biggest thunderstorm ever, with the lightning just crashing down all around the castle, and you couldn't have wanted a better evening to go there. Atmospherically, it was an amazing place to go to. I'm not convinced it was haunted. I couldn't find anything. I couldn't feel anything. I could feel residual energy. You could feel impressions of the past. I couldn't feel as if there was anybody there that I could really kind of go, oh, wow, we've got something here. But an amazing place to go to. So as far as going to the location, absolutely amazing and incredible. As far as it being haunted, I wasn't completely convinced, but it did have thousands of bats, if that's anything to go by.
It sounds a bit like, I always remember doing Stirling Castle, Castle Menzies, Edinburgh Castle, you know, all the ones in Scotland are all named spooky, and people tell you the stories of what's happened. And I've got to say, when I've been in any of them, the exact same as Paul, amazing places, lovely energy. Being haunted, I never sensed anything when I was there. You know, to me, they felt really calm. They felt very relaxing. Like, but I'm a bit weird like that, you know. I mean, I could go and sit. I would put a deck chair rather inside a spooky castle with cobwebs and sit on a beach, you know. So I 100%. I know where you're coming from there, definitely.
Yeah, because the locals in Transylvania don't believe in Count Dracula or vampires, and they believe mostly in the earth spirits, and they believe in the spirits that roam the forest. So what they will do is, out of wood, they'll create these masks, and they go around with these masks on, a little bit like our Halloween. And they put these masks on to protect them against the malevolent attacks from these spirits that roam the woods and the forest of the neighboring area. So you know, that's what they believe in, and that's their folklore, as opposed to Dracula himself.
Yeah, I've read that actually. I can't remember where I read it, but as soon as you started saying it there, it was coming back into me. So yeah, amazing place though. Still some place I would like to go.
It says it's not streaming to your page, John, just to let you know. They came up with a fault. We're having trouble streaming, and it is your one that's causing the trouble.
I'm just a walking fault at the moment.
Let me get this right. Without you've been dressed as a pilot because you couldn't get off your screen earlier on, and now it looks like Facebook has kicked you off on that side, to let you know.
Just to let everybody know, okay, everybody watching. I mean, I'm known for doing stupid things. Okay, I'm the medium that if someone says watch, you don't fall off the stage, I'm just going to fall off the stage so that I could say, well, I fell off the stage on my own accord rather than just doing it. So today I had readings and they were on Zoom, and I don't use Zoom very often, but the people that booked wanted it on Zoom, and I was like, that's fine, yeah, I'll do it on Zoom. I touched no settings whatsoever. I clicked into my appointment, I opened it up, and I'm looking at myself going, how the heck do I get this off? I had a pirate hat on and an eye patch with skulls and crossbones on them, and everywhere I moved, this hat and this eye patch went with me. The only way I can get rid of it is if I did this. Okay. I had to do a reading, and I was bringing through for this lovely lady, her son from the spirit world, and her mum, and I had to do the full reading with an eye patch and a pirate hat on. So I thought, after it, I'll try and figure out where this setting is. There is no setting for filters on Zoom. Okay, so my second reading, I had to do it with an eye patch and a hat on. Then I had a chat with Lara's man, Ben. We were having a talk about things as well, and I had to have this whole conversation with him with an eye patch and a pirate hat on. Eventually found it. Today has been the weirdest day ever. I don't know what's going on, but technology is not on my side today.
It's not your friend at all today, John.
Even when I came live, first I met Lara in the back, and I was all blurry. I looked like a fog.
He means he met me in the back on the streaming cast thing. By the Jeez.
So yeah.
Right. Do you know what? Listen. In a few minutes, I'm going to ask you guys, right, to like and follow and our pages. You've got John Spratt Psychic Medium page. You've got Paul Cissell. Is it Psychic Medium Paul on your page with Paul Cissell? So it's follow at Paul Cissell Psychic Medium. All right, go to his page. And Beth, do you have a page as well?
Yes, Access Paranormal.
Access Paranormal as well. Please go and like and follow everybody's page. In fact, you need to, otherwise I'm not going to see your comments here anyway. And let's get to sharing, because each one of us, although Beth is probably going to say she'll pick John, Paul, or myself to do readings and stuff, right? So we will do it. But basically, we are going to go around some of you, and we're going to do some live readings. In fact, John, do you think I should put the link in the comment section, and maybe they can come on and talk?
You know what I'd love to do, right? We've got two amazing people here tonight, right?
Yeah.
Me and Lara do this thing every now and then.
Do this.
Lara, get your head out the gutters, right? Right. Me and Lara every now and then do a show here where we go into your house. So if you've got little problems in your house, like you're hearing noises, there's weird feelings, you think your house is haunted, how about you come and tell us about it, okay? And we can have a nosy around your house, see if we could see anything, and do like a little mini online ghosty sort of hunt with the viewers, and maybe try and sort out their problem whilst we're there as well. What about that?
That's what we do. That's the Armchair Psychics for you. Hello, Benjamin Lee Hoskins. It's good to see you on here tonight.
I feel like I just brought up a great idea.
Brilliant.
You feel like you gave birth, John, do you?
I did. Do you know something? I'm sitting here in a Christmas t-shirt, a jumper that's got holes in it, and I'm drinking out of a china cup.
Why not? Paul understands, don't you, Paul?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
With a ghosty doll behind me and a Ouija board.
As you do.
You can't make this stuff up.
Standard Monday.
Just a standard day.
I better tell everybody who Beth is, right, as well, because, you know, just because Beth hasn't been on my page before, and although she's been on the Supernatural page before, I need to tell everybody. And you know what? I put that link up, Ben, but it hasn't. That's right, Benjamin. We had a nosy around his villa. Look, in Cyprus. Look. Right, just to let you know. But Benjamin's come back to Cardiff, to Wales at the moment, because obviously the lockdown stuff and things going on. But basically, I went to post that link, John, and it says an error occurred. Was this broadcast deleted on Facebook? So have you deleted us?
I've not even touched it. I'm going into my Facebook. I don't even know how to.
It's got up there that it's got an exclamation mark and all the rest of it.
Right, hold on. I'm going into my Facebook. I'll try and see.
You go into your Facebook and sort it. Well, I tell everybody that Beth has had over 10 years of paranormal investigation experience as well. She has a wealth of knowledge, and I detect a hint of an Australian accent, Beth. Is that right?
You are correct.
Whereabouts in Australia are you from?
I'm from Sydney.
Oh, wow. I had clients from there just recently, actually. Very busy place, they were saying. They're actually Scottish and they've emigrated over there. So, but they're bagpipe players and musicians and stuff. So they were lucky they got a job at the, you know, like the school. Both of them did. But they love it. They love it, the lifestyle and stuff. They do.
Yeah.
So
yes.
What made you come over to the UK then?
My gosh, it's like, how much time do we have? Like, literally, it's I'm lucky because my mum was born here, so I've got dual citizenship, so I'm actually able to come and go as I please, which is very rare.
Okay.
But yeah, I've always been interested into the paranormal, as most of us have, always been very open-minded about it. And my sister and I grew up with very skeptical parents. So they're like, you know, once you die, that's it, you get buried. But I thought, no, there's something else going on. It always fascinated me about, you know, how the possibility of objects moving on their own, or maybe the reason why some people can pick up more on somebody else without actually being able to know from a logical perspective. It just always fascinated me. It was always there. So all that happened for many years, you know, sort of growing up. And then I think it was probably, I was about 12 years ago, I actually moved over here for a couple of years originally. And I actually didn't realize that once watching those ghost paranormal shows, yes, I was one of those people. Don't hate me just yet, just not yet. But I love those shows. I loved the fact that you could get, it wasn't just about learning or reading from a book. You can actually get involved in it, find your own answers, like pick up something, ask out, find out for yourself. That was the angle I was taking at the time. And I was doing that over here for a couple of years. Yes, it was around the most haunted, you know, days. Then got back to Australia and thought, yay, it's going to be the same.
Tumbleweed
rolled across the floor. I'm like, hello. It was like, I'm like, hang on. They had ghost tours and events and history, but there was not investigating. I'm like, oh, then that needs to change. So I helped start that in Australia. And so in Sydney, we got groups together, paranormal teams started to actually roll it out and obviously adopt some of the similar methods that, you know, they would have seen being rolled out as well in social media and obviously on TV. But obviously that's been, you know, tailored to each country, and there's all different reasons for that, as you'd know, from the spiritual perspective. And yes, started from there. And I was with a group for a year and a half as their case manager. So I got used to doing private cases, and I found that really intriguing. We were talking before in the green room backstage, where when it comes to particular phenomena, I found that the most intriguing and the most intense has been with private residential cases. So I found that being fascinating. But of course, you can't go past, beautiful old historic locations where you get to, I call them playground paranormal investigations, where you just kind of like, oh, let's try this, let's go do that. Like it takes the seriousness away from having to try, and obviously what you're doing is helping somebody with their issues. So you can actually have a bit of fun with it, and it's kind of more for you as opposed for them. So and that I had a great experience with this particular team. I gained a lot of knowledge from that, and then I just thought I would love a spot just for paranormal investigation teams only, and that's where I started Access Paranormal, originally just for Australia, but now it's been global. I've got ads from sort of Arabia to India to Mexico and everywhere around the world, and it's just great because it's a great central spot. And online learning, because Australia is so far away from everywhere. So if you want to, there's so much wonderful knowledge and experience, people here and also in the US, that, unless you obviously have the chance to go and attend events, you can't actually access that information. So I thought I'd love to have somewhere where it's online learning. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are, you can learn about the actual meaty stuff with investigating. Okay, so what do I do when this experience happens, or what happens when this experience happens, or someone has this? What do I do? And that's my biggest passion, as you can probably tell. And it's just gone from strength, from there. So,
well, because that's you can feel that, can't you, guys? You can feel her passion in that. And I think you're also a member of the psychical research, aren't you, in the Ghost Club, right? And the Association for Scientific Study of Anomalous phenomena. Can you say that? Can you say that?
I can't even say
anomalous phenomena. Who makes these words up? Come on,
say phenomena.
It's just basically spooky stuff. It's basically just means spooky stuff.
Can you say that, Paul? Anomalous phenomena.
I'm try. I fluffed my words in the live stream with Gwen, so I'm not even going to try that word.
I know. Anomalous. We're going to give a reading away to somebody that can say that 20 times without tripping themselves up. Anomalous phenomena. Right. It's
anomalous phenomena.
That's it. Well done, John.
Let me know I want to read it.
Yeah, I was going to say you want to read it. Oh my God. You like the busy life in London?
I love it. Even in the middle of a pandemic, I would not want to be anywhere else. I'm exactly where I need to be. And I think when you're comfortable with yourself and you know where you're at and what you're doing and where your path's at, you just know your place. And even, like I said, in the middle of a pandemic, and it has its issues, don't get me wrong, it hasn't all been peace among love and rainbows and puppies and kittens, that's for sure. But at the same time, many of us have had our challenges that have been different. And it's listening and reading and learning from people for many years, and now I get to walk amongst them. So I remember saying at one point, it's like walking amongst celebrities, but from an intellectual perspective, it's walking amongst giants and people that you've known of for so long, and then you actually get to sit and chat to them in a lecture. And I'm like, I have this exposure that I would not have had in Australia because we are so far away from everything. And I love it here. I absolutely love it. I feel more home here than I ever have in Australia, 100%.
You look at home, I've got to say. Yeah.
I'm wearing my favorite color.
Absolutely. And you look like you've got a hint of red in your hair, so maybe you're actually more. Yeah, you do. Look at that. Oh my God. Right, listen. I put the link in the comments section, but they're all shy at coming on. And what happens is, John, you need to tell them that you're leaving now, because that's when they come on, when they think that you're leaving.
Right, I'm leaving. If no one's coming up, I'm going to take me off camera. Till somebody comes in that back office, I'm not talking.
You're not talking. And take you off camera. That's it. Throw your toys out the pram. Right, come on, let's get to sharing, guys. Right, let's like and follow our pages. We've got John Spratt, Psychic Medium. We've got Paul Cissell, Psychic Medium, and we've got Beth Harrington. But your page is called, I just had it up.
Access Paranormal.
Access Paranormal. There you go.
I kind of took it from Access Hollywood, so don't tell anyone.
That sounds really dodgy as well, doesn't it? My God. Right, so we're shuffling the cards here. We want somebody to come in the back here, right? Click on that link. It's in the comments section, right? Because John's not going to say another word until somebody actually pops on in the background here, and then we can get you. And we want to see the spooky bits in your house. Have you got a spooky bit going on? If you're having problems at home and there's been spookiness happening, and we'd love to sort stuff out. John would love to sort it out. Paul would love to sort it out. Ben and I, well, we're just we're just for the ride, aren't we, Beth? We're just
Hi, girl. For the ride.
So click on that link. It's in the comments section if you want to come on. Don't worry if your hair's all over the place or your fridge is a mess or you haven't vacuumed yet. We don't care, do we, John? We don't care.
No. And I've got a thing for fridges. That's why she said it. I've did readings before whilst doing live, and I've brought people on screen and they'll say, "Can I have a reading?" And I'll go, "Can I look in your fridge?" And they show me in their fridge, and I'll give them a reading based on what's in their fridge. So don't be shy, folks. Come up. We can ask to see absolutely anything. But
John, see your fridge. I know. Paul's sitting there going, "Well, actually, I might quite like to see a fridge too."
Just don't go looking in drawers. That's kind of, you got to draw a line at that area. But, the fridge is
Taylor coming on. Come on, Sarah. Click on that link and come on in. It'll be fabulous to see you.
Right. So I checked my Facebook page, and you're 100% right. We're not live on my page. I don't know why.
I know, and it was like it booted us off. I don't know. Beth's fainted, and we've got.
Give me a sec. I'll be back. I think my computer's decided. It's really technology.
I'm so wrong.
We've got Sarah. We've got Sarah Taylor in the background. How are you?
I'll be back. I think my computer's decided.
I'm so wrong.
We've got Sarah. We've got Sarah Taylor in the
There's a
background.
lot of feedback.
Right.
That's better.
That's right. I'm going to add Sarah again. All right. Hang on. Sarah, can you hear me in the background? Right. There's a lot of feedback when you're coming on. So if you turn the volume down, you got Facebook on, and if you got the volume up in Facebook, actually have the page up.
And if you have earbuds or what do you call them these days?
You've got earphones, pop the earphones in.
See, I call them earphones, but I've been told, by the kids, it's earbuds.
Is it? Earbuds?
Earphones. And they're like, "No, Dad, it's not earphones because they're not phones for your ear." And I'm like, okay.
But they are in the ear.
But they're not earbuds. But yes, seemingly they're called earbuds now, not earphones. Just like you don't say, "Pass me my mobile" anymore, seemingly. You just say, "Pass me the phone." I still call it a mobile phone.
Because they won't. I mean, do you have a house phone, John?
I do, but it's not plugged in.
All
because
right.
I just get people phoning and saying, "Do you need PPI? Do you want Windows? Do you want new insurance?" It did my head in, so I just unplugged it.
So when the jury's out, some of them say earbuds, some of them say earpods, believe it or not.
Earpods. It's just bizarre. Paul, what do you call your earphones?
Headphones.
That-
On the head.
Correct.
Christina tells us earbuds are cotton buds to us oldies. That's right. Or buds of flowers, I was thinking of, like buds in your ear, right? It just looks weird. It's weird. Right, Paul, have you got the comment section up? Are you vibing towards anybody? Can you see who's been sharing?
Right. I can see the comment section, yeah.
All right, so come on. Are you seeing any top shaders there? You seen anybody?
I have no idea.
No idea. I can't see it.
No one's familiar to me, so you'll have to forgive me on this one.
That's okay. Listen, if you've not gone and liked and followed Paul's page, pop over and like and follow Paul Cissell Psychic Medium, right? And obviously, John's not thinking on his page. It did kick in, and then I've put it on John's page. So we've shared to your page now, but for some reason, it did not like your page. It booted me off twice.
I don't know why it's done that. That's really bizarre, isn't it? It's never happened before.
No, I think that there's definitely a computer thing going on round about you at the moment.
there is. I must be like giving off some sort of
Aura.
vibe, aura. You know how some people give off like a sexual vibe? I'm giving off a computer vibe, like electronic, like interrupting the.
Oh God, right. I'm bringing
computer
Sarah.
phones.
That's it. We've had enough now. There we go. Yay! There. And Beth back as well. Beth, you.
Oh, all is well. Yes, my other laptop decided it wanted to shut down because you know what, it's coming up to a full moon soon. So apparently that seems to filter through.
Just blame me.
That's it. Just blame Johnny's wrecking everything tonight. Sarah, can you hear us?
Very well. I can hear you well.
That's okay. We got right. Okay then. So tell us what's been happening in your place. Have you been getting activity? Have you been feeling stuff going on? What's been going on?
Well, obviously, I'm quite psychic myself, so I dream a lot. So there's always all sorts going on when I sleep, messages, visions, things like that. But I wanted to show you these. I wonder what John thinks of these. Because my mum makes these sculptures, and it's a magic faraway tree that she's made. And she's been making these magic pixie houses, and she's been making doors for all the little trees down our road, you see. So we've got some little ghostly little pixie houses that she's been making here.
God, how awesome!
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Because she's always told me that trees have spirits in them, you see. And I grew up with the magic faraway tree in my inner blight and imagination. So I've got all of these things around me at the moment. So, but what's going on in my house is I always break lights. Lights break very easily with me, little switches, always interfere with computers and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know if you can see a lot going around me. Yeah. So.
All right, guys, are you picking anything up round about Sarah?
You see that's my little spiritual corner over there where all the lights and all the activity happens at night and stuff like that. So yeah.
So it's more lights and electrical sort of things that you've got going on, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. And more, would you say more so in the room that you're in now?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. And this would be the room also where you do sort of your sort of spiritual things, you know.
Yeah, it's where I do my readings. I do them via email usually and writing. And I do my meditation, and the most activity happens when I'm trying to get to sleep, and then I dream a lot, which I wish I could switch it off, but it just happens by itself. So yeah, there's always a lot going on in here.
I was just about to say, I feel like, you know, you've got this lovely light around you, you know, you're open to the spirit world, but that lovely light's never closing, you know. It's like you're constantly saying to spirit, and spirit are these people, you know, if they see a light in an open channel, they're like, oh yes, this is my little gateway down, I'm popping in here because there's an opening for me.
Yeah, I'm like, stop, it's too much.
Yeah, they are just jumping in left, right and centre, and when you're going to sleep, your body's getting into that relaxed state, and you, as we know as mediums, we've got to relax our mind to be able to give a reading over. So as you're doing that, and your door is open, the light's beaming, they've got an easy access. They're like, here we go, let's fill this woman's head up. Let's see if she can pass on our messages that we need to do. That's
exactly what happens. Yeah, people always want to know when I've woken up the next day. It's like, oh, what did you dream last night? Where did you travel to? It's like in the daytime because I'm very empathic. So I get very tired very easily in the day because I'm like all these messages. So I'd like to know how to like stop it from time to time. So yeah. Yeah,
I think we're needing to teach you how to sort of just close down, how to just shut your mind down and sort of say to spirit, you know what, it's my time, enough's enough. And I'm a big believer that spirit should only come in and interact, you know, communicate with you when you're working, when you've gave them permission to do that. You know, yes, spirit's the boss, but you need to be the boss as well. You know, there's nothing worse. I could remember when I was really young walking around the supermarket and I'd be standing at the checkout with my mum, and I'd be like, oh, the shop's so busy. And I could hear all these grannies and mums and dads all talking to me like, it was spirit. I didn't know how to close down. And ever since I learned that and how to close myself down, I could go and do a demonstration. I could do a theatre, and I will not have a single feeling from spirit until I stand on that stage and say, I'm now ready to work. And then Oh, then pandemonium starts. You know, the light goes.
You at once.
So I kind of feel we need to get.
I thought about trying some meditation before bed, like a.
Oh, you've broken up there. I missed that. Oh, you've frozen over.
Can you hear me again?
Oh, you're back again. No, you're gone again.
Nope. I can hear
you're back
you.
again.
Something's going on with all the computers.
It's not my fault.
I'll take it out and put her back in. There we go. Take it out.
And we'll bring you back in just a second. Maybe someone else want to pitch in. Maybe, I don't know if anybody else is getting anything there.
I know. You go, Beth.
Oh, I'm as with some of the mediums I've worked with over the years with investigating, it is a common thing with people that are, like you said, are very open. It's learning to say, okay, I know you've got stuff that you want to say and communicate for what reasons you have, but I still live. Like, I still need to have me time. I still need to put that barrier down, and it's okay, and don't feel guilty about doing so. I need to have that line where I need to be earthly, basically, and I've got stuff going on. I still, go to work or whatever it is that I need to do. So, and it's okay to put that, because sometimes people who are just starting to open up and feel bad, it's like, oh no, but they've got messages and they've got answers they want made, and people they want to communicate with and to, and it's like, well, it's actually okay, because you also have a life as well, and it's okay to put those boundaries in place. And sometimes people feel guilty about it.
It is, because it's spirit. So, people are like, oh no, I can't say that to spirit. And I'm like, trust me, if you don't be strong and be firm with spirit, they're going to walk all over you, And I've seen mediums and they walk around and their shoulders are slumped over and they're dragging their feet. And I'm like, you're not tired because you're physically tired. You're tired because you're being drained, You're constantly going. So definitely think we need to just give you a wee pointer on how to close yourself down.
Absolutely. She did try and come back on there, but it didn't work. So it didn't. She was on and off very quickly. Paul, what do you reckon?
Yeah, again, obviously, we're all in our own individual rights, sensitive and connected to spirit, aren't we? And I often describe it as we need to look at ourselves because, in the layman's term, a lot of people might not understand the terminology that, us working mediums may have. So I look at it this way is, you see yourself as the car battery. Now, the car battery has cells. Now, if we go and put that red lead on first, we know that it sparks up. Yeah. And it's very pretty to see all the sparks going up in the engine, but it doesn't start the car and it damages the battery. But when we get the earth lead on first and tighten it, then we put the red lead on, then the battery is secure and safe. We start the engine and everything fires up. So I think, a lot of us, without us realizing, we connect to spirit very easily, even though, you may not even be a medium or a sensitive, but we connect to spirit very, very easily. And so we spark up. And the trick is to connect with ourselves, connect with the earth first, and then everything becomes balanced and we can turn the ignition key and off we go.
That's right. That's a really good analysis, actually. Right, I love that, Paul. There was somebody further back here, and just having a look here. Because have any of us worked on missing cases and just seen a post of a family and their missing loved ones, and it started to get her thinking and stuff like that. Her heart went out to them. So just to kind of over when you're talking about being open and stuff happening. A lot of good stuff can happen in that energy too. Like as this lady said here, have we worked in missing cases? Have any of you worked in missing people cases and stuff? Yeah. It's kind of like a rite of passage, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think we've all done that. So what's been the most remarkable ones that jumped out at you? Just to kind of change direction a little bit with this. So John.
I did one that was actually very, very close. And and it was someone who I knew personally who went missing. And the family asked if I could. The family didn't even ask. I remember sitting one night and I was aware of just what was going on. I didn't even mean to connect into it. I was just aware, and I was like, oh my God, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then I started seeing all what had happened and where they were. And then it turned into a police case where they couldn't find her body, well, not even her body, they were still looking for her alive at the time. But they were searching, and I could remember sitting in the house saying, I know where she is. And I did go to the police station and tell them, and 3 hours later they phoned me back and said, you were spot on, what you described. The only thing was, I thought it was in a wooded area. I thought it was in woods, but it was actually on a big massive roundabout in the middle of a road, but that roundabout was all trees. So it was like but I that was the only thing that they said was wrong with it, was the location. But I've did many of them. That one I think sticks out the most, purely because of how close it was to me as well, because I knew the person.
Oh, such a shame. Who did it?
It was a gentleman. Don't want to mention their names in case any of their family, because it was only about 5-6 years ago. But it was a gentleman who murdered someone on a night out. And
did they know each other anyway?
Sorry?
Did they know each other?
No, they didn't know each other, no.
No, just one of those things.
Yeah.
That's so sad, isn't it?
They did find him, and I was able to describe him as well. So, very sad.
That's brilliant. Beth, what about you?
Mine was when I was involved in a series called In Tenebris, which I think I probably mispronounced that completely. It's actually Latin for in darkness. So again, someone will correct me with my Australian accent. But it was a series that we did where we actually looked at the darker side of the paranormal. So it was where people have actually suicided, and obviously one of them was a missing persons case. Mm-hmm. And it was one of the well-known missing person cases in Australia at the time. And it was the 10-year anniversary where we actually did the filming. So we actually got to speak with the family. They had a memorial done because they hadn't been able to find her yet. And it was a very moving case. I found that probably one of the toughest ones to deal with, because it's the unknown for those that are still there waiting, and you're dealing with it's elongated grief. And from an investigating perspective, I think it's really important to have a good understanding of that, let alone all the other bits and pieces that come with it. We had 2 mediums with us at the time that were filming with us, and I ended up being able to have an interview with the police as well at the time, which was very, very rare, because often they don't want to speak about the fact that they might possibility entertain, having a medium or a psychic on a case, because, they don't want to promote it for all different reasons that they have. But I was able to speak with the police about it, and that was probably one of those sort of eye-opening moments where I actually got to understand why a bit more. But long story short, one of parts of this woman's remains was actually found 2 years later after our show, and it was interesting to compare what the notes of what the mediums had picked up on to what they actually found, and they were literally almost spot on. It was like they said, because the serial killer himself is still alive and still in jail, but he just won't tell them where the body is, because he gets a kick off the fact that it's actually still something that is a treasure that can't be found. So that's obviously mediums were called in, and the family were very, very spiritually open, which really helped with their grieving, and also at the same time looking at alternatives as well. And it was a very incredibly moving case to work on. But yeah, they found part of her, so at least they could say, okay, now we know that she's confirmed to have actually been deceased, as opposed to she could be there somewhere. Wow. So yeah, really intense. But very, very learning, and I'm just very appreciative to have been a part of the case and part of the people's family, and for them to open up and everything that came with it. I'm just glad it got documented, because often sometimes these things can't be. So that's it's In Tenebris. So yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
What about you, Paul?
Yeah, friend of mine, he owned a bar, and his cleaner, her husband, was in hospital, and he decided to discharge himself, and no one could find him. So a couple of days went by, still no one could find him. So the police efforts were concentrating in the local canal, and this is where everybody was convinced. They were convinced that he decided to commit suicide and had gone to the canal to do that. The gentleman in question had actually contacted me through Spirit and said he wasn't. He said he was trapped. He wasn't passed over. He wasn't in the canal. And I said, you're going to have to show me where you are. I tried to tell everybody involved, including the police, that he wasn't in the canal, and he was trying to show me where he was. But no, the efforts were focusing on the canal. So he kept saying to me, he kept showing me where he was, and he was only literally a mile from my home. And he kept taking me to the exact lane that he was on, and he kept showing me hedgehogs. And he kept showing me hedgehogs, and I didn't get why he was so intense with the hedgehogs. And I took a drive to the place that he had showed me, and I couldn't find him. And I went up there, went up and down. I just could not find him anywhere. I kept saying to him, I can't find you. And when I got to the lane where he was, suddenly he disappeared, and I couldn't find him anymore. So I connected with Spirit, and I said, I can't find him. Is there something that you can do to intervene now, so we can find him? This is where he's guided me to, but there's no sign of his body. So it was just a lane with ditches either side. Within 24 hours, a motorist had got a blowout in his tire, and he was changing the tire. And as he was changing the tire, he fell backwards into the ditch, and under the hedge was the body of the deceased man, and they found him. He had crawled under the hedge to take shelter and just passed away under there. So hedgehog. I was seeing it as hedgehog. He was showing me signs of hedgehogs. That's how he was showing it to me. That's how my mind was scrambling it. But he was trying to tell me that he was under the hedge. So I kept seeing the hedgehogs going under the hedge, but I just couldn't get the connection myself. Obviously, if I could have got the police there would have been more resources to have found him. But thankfully, within 24 hours, there was a blowout car right outside. Guy's changing the tire, falls backwards into the ditch, and that's where he finds the body underneath the hedge. So, yeah.
Ooh. Well, that was good, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love these stories. Absolutely love them. I once worked in a case in Dubai, like in Dubai from over here. I was contacted by somebody over there just randomly, and we helped convict a guy who had murdered his girlfriend. And without the body, he got life imprisonment. So he did. Mm-hmm. Right. So she did everything that I said to do, and she followed it. It's like a trail, though, isn't it? It's a bit like that, and how we see it in our mind. You know, we see these images. It's a bit like, I suppose it's a bit like, how would you describe it? It's like, give us a clue, isn't it? You get clues, and you see them as images, don't you? And then you can have the way that we profile as mediums, and it's a bit like forensic type of stuff, isn't it? Where we have enough profiling, we get images shown, we know how to decipher the images, and then we follow the trail, don't we, that way? And so it's a case of sort of putting it all together. Of course, I've done it with animals too. Have you done it with animals as well, guys? Yeah, finding animals and stuff, which can be quite good as well, particularly where the owners are concerned. Sometimes the animal too, of course, if they just got simply lost, you know, and they can't find their way home, right? So really what this is about tonight, guys, is saying that having skill sets like what we do, like Paul does and Beth does and John does, is that it's more than just for reading people and illuminating their path in life or connecting with your loved ones that have passed over, which ultimately brings a shift, doesn't it? And healing happens in that shifting as well. We'll use it for various other things, like finding people that have been missing, right? Finding animals that are missing. What else? We kind of can. Well, I'm very good, like from a really early age. My mum, absolutely. I mean, it's like the standing joke in the family is when it comes to presents and stuff. I actually like my presents to Christmas Day, right? I don't even like to touch them. Why don't I like to touch them? Because I can see in my head what they are.
Spoil the surprise.
I'm like, don't even give it eye contact, Lara. Just keep it out the way, will you? Right, and it became like a thing, over the years where my mum said, I've surpassed myself this way, you'll never guess what it is. Straight away in my head, it comes into my head what it is, right? And she's like, for Christ's sake. It becomes like the standing joke is 1 year she's going to be able to get me a present that I won't know what it is. And that's without looking at it, right? Without touching it. My mum would poke holes in it so she could see what was in that present. And no, I'm like, keep it away from me. Just keep it away. Some things should be a surprise, shouldn't you guys?
They should. But
Exactly.
I know your pain. I do the same. I know what's in things before I even open them. So yeah. And surprising Spratty is not easy.
It says, and then you've got to pretend that you're surprised.
I know. You ever try to do a surprised face when you're not really surprised, or you sort of overdo it, do you? You're like, oh my God, and you do dances and you put on a high squeak voice and you think, it's not really what I would have done if I didn't know what that was.
Exactly, like trying to do that. And then you've got the other side of you, and what if it's something that you never really want? You've got 10 in them anyway, and you've still got to look like you're really surprised. I know. What other things, what other abilities do we use, like our gifts, abilities? Would you call it a gift, what we do?
I never refer to it as a gift in that way. I never refer to it as a gift. I always say that it's something that's inherent within us. So it's not given. A gift is something that is given from another person. But our abilities is something that we're born with. We inherit it, and we nurture it. So I always say that it's something that is us. It is us as opposed to a gift. That's how I look at it anyway.
And this from an investigating perspective, I've actually come from the other side. So I've had absolutely interested in the paranormal is one thing, but having any sort of psychic or mediumship ability for myself personally, being that kind of person, I'm definitely not. But over the last 10 to 12ish years, you start to tune yourself a little bit. So you get used to being in locations where there is shifts of energy. So I'll walk into a place and I feel a bit different in here because I'm getting used to tuning into that. So it's actually coming up the other way. So it's like it's almost like, they say your body is the best paranormal investigation instrument ever. Like you'll pick up things, but at the same time it's valuable as well. So there's times it can fail, but you've got to know your instrument, right? So it's been how you talk about having that the ability. I like your the wording that you put there, Paul, about saying it's not a gift, it's something that I think we all have. Some their volume is turned up to 10, some is 1. It just depends on what volume you are. To me, I'm probably about a 2. So some people are obviously a lot more, but like you said, but since investigating, I'm a lot more in tune when I find it finds me before I find it. That's how I've worked it out a little bit. I'll walk into a place and he hits me before I have a chance to consciously put the dots together.
There's an interesting thing, right, is that we can all paint and draw, right? We can all sing. We can all play an instrument after a fashion, right? It's just that there's varying shades, like a spectrum. The gift isn't actually, the gift is in the ability to be able to do it naturally without maybe too much effort. Like you get Mozart that was gifted at creating music and like writing music and playing it and stuff, right? So the gift is more about the ability of usage. On what you call the born with certain tools or toolkit, right? If you want to look like that. So the gift is not the actual thing, it's the gift is in the ability of how quickly and easily you can access that and make it look natural and get a good result, like an exceptional result, right? And I think that's probably the best way to look at it. Like Chris, there's another way, as in you amazing, Lara, and I asked you health and sight and you pinpointed the most crazy details of a completely rare kind of issue that I had. I'm good at that, I've got to say. It's like I see it. But there's another thing that you can use it for, medical. We're not supposed to diagnose, right? We don't diagnose, we've got to refer you to the medical profession, but we can sometimes see or feel even in auras, can't we? We can see and feel when there's an issue or a dense area in that part of the body, right? And you know, with training, if we had medical training, we probably would be able to really be specific and come up with that name, unless we've read it somewhere or maybe met somebody that had that condition, right? That's what we call profiling, right? We just have the ability to take an enormous amount of information, and we know how to tap into that without actually seeing it. And I mean logically seeing it. Is that you would agree with me, Paul, wouldn't you there?
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
But set us in an exam condition, right, where somebody's telling us, you know, we've got to sit exams and work out, you know, a maths thing or a science thing, then that's a different matter altogether, because we have to logically access that, and that can be hard work. Because we're sitting there thinking, what are they expecting us to put? Do you remember that guy? It's like, you know, they ask you a question. Multi-choice was always my worst one, right? When they give you more than one thing to choose from.
Mm. Yeah.
What was your best and worst thing at school that you could do?
The worst thing.
Yeah.
I was terrible at maths. I was terrible. Shocking. And yet I love science right now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that, Beth. I could never do the simplest things. 2 times 2, I couldn't tell you. But give me a complicated equation and you would excel.
Yes, thank you, Paul. I bet you can do it without telling anybody how you do it. So they give you an equation, you immediately get the answer, and then they go, how do you get that? You can't tell them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. What 2 times 2 was. Yeah.
Exactly. I failed arithmetic, right? But science, I excelled in science. Right? Except chemistry, I could not understand why anybody would do chemistry. Honestly, God,
It's hard, so hard.
John, what about you? Were you any good at school?
I was same as you guys. Maths awful.
Must be that part of the brain when it comes to openness and creativeness.
I was really good at geography, and see now, I could not tell you where anywhere is in the world. I sit and I'm like,
exactly. I struggle as well, but I tell you what, if you put me in a car and drive in places, I will always find where I'm looking for.
oh yeah, I'll do that. That's easy.
Yeah.
I would never get lost.
Exactly. Never get lost. That's right. Yep. Absolutely. Don't even trust it. It's better than the sat nav. Honest to God, I have found places in the dark in a foreign country in 10 minutes, whereas I've had people that apparently know the road and know where they're going, right? Can't. Right. And don't I'll tell you what, an emotion is very good at being able to get to the intuitive side as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, the more upset we are, the better at it we get.
Oh yeah, get that anger going and the frustration. Like,
and it'll disappear as quickly as it appears, because then we've got a result. But it's probably not the one everybody's expecting. That's the thing. What other areas do you use the old psychic abilities in?
now I saw some in the comments actually when I was watching there. Lost souls. I saw someone asking about that, helping people that have, you know, spirits that have got lost. Yes, I don't do it as much now, but I did used to do that. And it's quite a hard thing to do. I know a lot of people struggle, a lot of mediums struggle with it. I did when I first got hit with it, and it's one of those skills that when the spirit world pull you in that direction, they don't do it gently. They sort of pull you into that fast, and it comes at a real shock. I actually quite enjoyed it. There was a side of me, maybe because I like, you know, once I've sorted something, I could see that person walking off. I like that, you know, I did that, I fixed that. I enjoy that feeling. And when you do the psychic sort of, I called it, what did I call it? I can't even remember the name now off the top of my head. But whatever it was, I called it. It wasn't me making them cross, you know, fixing them. You sort of had to discuss it with them, and it was them that did the work, you know, it was spirit that did the work, and you were just guiding them, and I enjoy that. So I quite like that. I don't know, has anybody else done that?
Yeah, I think to be a soul rescuer, I think that
that's the word I was looking for.
Oh no, see, Paul knew exactly where you were with that.
John. You know, to be a soul rescuer, you have to be comfortable with your own darkness. You have to be comfortable with your own demons. If you're not, you're going to be very uncomfortable going and walking with somebody else's demons, with somebody else's darkness. And I always say, when it comes to soul rescue, don't go there unless you're comfortable with the darkness, especially with your own darkness and somebody else's darkness, because you can be pulled into a void, and if you can't get out again, you can be equally stuck there emotionally and mentally as well. So it's definitely not a job for everybody, you know. I think it's very easy for us to maybe go into perhaps, you know, a haunted location, or to be in some other similar situation where we are perhaps opening ourselves up to the light, and we're inviting spirit to pass over. Is it as simple as that? No, it's not. We've really got to, you know, connect on many levels to understand, because I'm a great believer that, you know, it's our job to be down here. What happens once the spirit world opens up, it's not our responsibility. We're just focusing down here. And to tell you a very, very quick story, if you don't mind, to give you an example, I had a client come to see me, and he asked if there was disabled access to my office, because he was bringing his wife. So from that, I naturally presumed his wife was in a wheelchair. So when they came in, it was actually him in a wheelchair, and he was only a young guy in his 30s. And we had a really, really lovely reading. So the first half was, you know, talking about, you know, building up the links and the evidence, and it was a really great reading. And then halfway through, it suddenly changed, completely changed. And then I realized and discovered that I had his identical twin brother with me, who had been murdered some years earlier. Wow. And they'd formed a symbiotic relationship energetically wise. And in order for the dead twin brother to be down here, he had anchored himself and was feeding energetically off of his alive twin brother, which was crippling him and keeping him in the wheelchair. And he couldn't get up, he couldn't walk. And he was always fatigued, he was always drained. And so I had to be brave enough then to step into the deceased brother's energy. And he took me on a very dark journey. He took me through his death process. So he took me to the place that he was murdered. He showed me how he was murdered. He had his throat slit open, so for being graphic there to anyone. And he bled to death. And there was 30 police officers apparently just meters away in a building, and they knew nothing about it. The guy knew who had killed him. So I said to the twin brother, he's talking about David. Is David the one that killed him? And he said, yes. He said, but David got away with it. He said, because there wasn't enough evidence to support that. And I said, to what your twin brother is doing, I said, he goes to visit David, and he has a knife in his throat. Again, forgive me, viewers, for being graphic, and he slits his throat open on a regular basis. So I've now got to get the twin brother, deceased twin brother, to let go and to pass over, but needing the help of the father, who was in spirit, to come down. So it was a very, very, very traumatic experience for me to go through all of that. But I managed to persuade the twin brother to let go. He let go. The father came in, grabbed hold of his spirit, took him away. I didn't need to know what went over there. And I said to the young man, how are you feeling? And he said, do you know what? I feel lighter. I feel a lot better. And I said, can you get out of that chair? And he said, no, I won't be able to. I said, I don't want to push you medically because we haven't got a doctor here. Can you get out of that chair? And suddenly he went, and I said, right, do no more. I said, right, you're on your healing process. Job done. Yeah. So I'm a great believer that mediumship of any kind is all to do with healing as well. Yeah. It is about healing, and that was a classic example of, you know, soul rescue work and healing combined, helping to heal the guy that was that had been murdered and to get him to let go, and then also to heal the twin brother that was still alive, and help him on his own, you know, wellness as well. So yeah, it took a lot out of me. So that's why I say soul rescue work isn't for everybody, and you need to know your boundaries before you go into it. Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible. I've got all goose pimply and everything.
It's incredible.
So I said, Beth, did you feel that as well?
Oh, I was feeling, and from the few mediums that I've worked with over the years, when we come to certain cases, you know, they've had that kind of, it's almost like if you're going to deal with the paranormal, with investigating, traditional paranormal investigating, usually the venues aren't the most, you know, it's not a platform reading. You're not going to read for Aunt Maud. You know, you're going into a jail where you've got some very interesting individuals that have passed, and energy is still shifting around in that place. So you've got to, like, as you were saying, absolutely agree 100%, Paul. You've got to be ready to see the tough stuff.
Yeah.
And it's not seeing it. I could only imagine. It's seeing it, sensing it, feeling it, having flashes of it. You've got to be strong enough within yourself and grounded or earthed, as you mentioned before you go into these places, because you don't know. And it's not walking with fear, because I think if you do that, then you're going to be almost asking for it in a way. And that's just from my limited knowledge. I think it's being ready most of the time, because a lot of times people say, I want to be a medium in a paranormal team. Well, how do I get to do that? I'm like, well, okay, well, you've got to be pretty open-minded, because you're going to probably experience some very deep and dark stuff, because the venues that you go to, if it's a public or private, may not be. If you're wanting to pass messages on from spirit, it's a very different way. It's a different meaning. It's a different reason. You're not there to pass messages of love and healing, or passing information on, and that information can be pretty dark. So as you said, like, there's some things that I've heard that some mediums have passed on, and they've done very well. And I'm like, I can only imagine if someone seeing through someone else's eyes and going through that bit, to be able to pass that on to actually, information.
Yeah, we're looking at it, and also terms. One of the things that always sets the hairs up in the back of my neck is the term light worker. Right?
Oh yes.
See, look, John. Like that. You understand where I'm going with this, Paul, don't you? You described in that, and also Beth described there when you said things get pretty dark. Actually, dark worker is probably the correct term. In order to bring the light, you first of all have to have the ability to step in the dark. And most mediums, proper mediums, I'm not, because you'll get 100 people say they're mediums, but only one, if you're lucky out of that, will be a proper medium, right? Because they have the ability to step in the dark and shine their light.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, light are usually people, they could be maybe dragging people the wrong way, right? If you get my dream, you know, the whole love and light brigade, as I call it, right? Never, ever, ever message me that or email me that. It'll set me off.
I don't even hear the words anymore, but it's like,
and you've got Hilda in the background there, and John says you've got like a raven in the thing, you've got the Ouija board in the background. I think comes over this dark. Yeah. Was that fresh back, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I always say this, you know, I look at it this way, is that you can be a spirit medium on one hand, you can be a paranormal medium on the other hand, yeah? So you've got two types of medium, if we're referring just to mediumship to keep it simple. So paranormal medium on one hand, spirit medium on another hand. I think it takes a very special medium to bring the two together, to be able to jump from being a spirit medium to give spiritual messages of depth, of love, of healing, into being a paranormal medium where you're walking into somebody else's death process, their trauma, and perhaps that darkness as well. So,
basically, to go into their shit.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's just say it, to go into the shit, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it all, I know.
And I love going into the shit.
For me, it probably helped at 16 when I worked in the pig farm. So there we go then.
Oh, listen, everybody loved this live tonight. Can I just say that they're loving it? I think the fact we've been really candid. We've shown many different sides of paranormal world, the medium, the paranormal medium, the spirit medium, right? We've talked about murder cases. We've talked about, like health stuff and things going on. There's actually so many different aspects of it. What we're saying is we're defying anybody to say there's nothing in it. There's so many different facets to it, right? It's a hard thing to prove, but let me tell you, it's a hard thing to disprove as well. I'm always saying this, prove to me that you can do what you do, and I said, well, prove to me I can. When you're born this way, it's natural. It's as natural as picking up a paintbrush and painting to an artist, right? Sorry, Paul. Yeah.
No, I was going to say, Lara, what you're saying, if we go back, if we go back to our ancestral times, Celtic times, even, so thousands of years ago. I'm not saying that this is the wrong word to use, but forgive me for using it. I'm going to, and Beth, I'll include you in this. We would be kind of, this is the wrong word, but I'm going to use it anyway. We would be worshipped for our abilities, because people would understand that we were connected to the earth and the spirit world, and they would regularly seek out our advice and our knowledge and our understanding to help us within the community. These days, obviously, now it's kind of laughed at, somewhat in certain circles and certain areas where people maybe not necessarily understand that. But, I'm going to believe that, psychology, the roots of psychology stems from, these ancient teachings, ancient mediumship, if you like. So we go back 2,000 years ago. We were pretty much up there. These days we're pretty much down there, unfortunately, due to technology. So.
Well, there's that, but let's talk about the fear bit before we kind of call it a night tonight. So even though you're saying that, right, people probably also feared us as well, or people like us on the other side of that coin.
Yeah.
And I think that you're saying up there and down there. You know what? I think if you get somebody that's born left-handed and you're asking them why they're left-handed and right with their right, that's probably a really good analogy, right? You're actually asking people like us to be different, right? When how we are is actually normal to us, and we've had to adapt to a world where it's rationality, logical, way of thinking. In many ways, it's probably a different way of looking at maybe bilingual, isn't it? We're actually bilingual in a probably a more energetic way of looking at things. But because you're born that way, right? Like Beth, you were born into a family, weren't you? Of, they were sound very religious, actually, if you don't mind me saying. Did you mention the word religious before? They're maybe skeptics.
Very skeptical, very, like, it's when you're dead, that's it. It was very, and that's why it was very strange that people were always open,
Were they like your parents science people?
Sorry?
Did they believe in science?
Oh yeah, very, very science, very, and I think and to me, I've kept a part of that, and that's always been very grounding. But the fascination was always there. I'm like, no, but people are picking up stuff, and I see there's reports of things moving, and there's research about it as well. Like, you can't just discount.
In science, right, energy can be created and not destroyed. So people that believe in science, right, and then say that when you're dead, that to me doesn't make sense. That's a cop-out. Right.
Yeah, true, and it is, and I poked and prodded a little bit, but I couldn't do too much.
My way,
the fascination's always there.
The next generation from your parents, right? You were always meant to go that step further. In fact, if they hadn't been the way they were, you wouldn't have been the way you are. That's the way I look at it.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad of it. I love the fact they used to laugh at my sister and I about ghost stories. Oh, there's a ghost story. Oh, the girls are probably not going to sleep tonight. I'm like, no, but I don't want to sleep because there's a possibility.
Absolutely.
Of it,
I'm there. My dad's very science. He's an engineer, and to this day, we've never spoken about what I do for a living.
Oh yeah,
30 years career, and he still never mentions it.
Yeah. Have any of you ever felt like you've had some backlash from your family for what you do? Like, has anyone in your family in particular just gone, oh, well, like as Lara just said, you know, I'm not going to talk about it, or we're not going to mention it or acknowledge it at all? Or?
Okay. Oh. John, what was that like? Paul said nothing. John, like the eyes were like.
No, I'm trying to think. I'm thinking, have I? And I'm like, no, I haven't actually.
That's really good to hear.
You know, everybody in my family has just been, all right, yeah, okay, John.
Good.
How about you, Paul?
No, Dad was completely close to it. Mum was very open to it, but scared of it, so closed it down. 2 older brothers, they didn't acknowledge it at all, so completely on my own, and had to find my own way with it.
Yeah.
So,
Right, so basically, yeah, the black sheep in a family, right? Considered, absolutely. My dad's very scientific, very engineered, but then so am I, right? Now look at it, I'm a people's engineer, right? So I would like you, Beth, it's like the next generation or the next. You know. My mum was quite, she used to take me to the spiritualist church when I was younger and stuff. So, you know, I'm a nan. She was very supporting, very, very supportive. But there are a lot of people in the family where it's just not talked about. You know, it's like you always feel like you're somebody's dirty little secret when you're there, and all you've done is turn up. Right?
I remember going into a christening once.
Thing entirely, isn't it? I swear to God, I'm going to dress up as a Grim Reaper one day, you know, and go to stand there. Right?
I love it.
Listen, guys, we've had a blast. We've been 20 minutes over now, so we are, because we just love it. Everybody's loved it tonight. They're all like so thrilled. They think it's been an awesome show tonight. I think it's giving permission to people just to be themselves, right? Paul, you said we used to be up there and now we're down there. As far as I'm concerned, I think we're back up there again. I might be deluded, but
I'm a great believer that when we look back through history, there is always a new species of human evolution coming along, and now people are becoming more and more open and receptive to what we do. I do believe that there is going to be another wave of human evolution, and that is going to be people that are more in tune with their own sensitive abilities, more psychic, more connected to the spirit world, which is going to lead us ultimately to that place where there is no need for that endless cycle of life and death. And those two places are, you know, one. We're a long way off from that, but I think we're heading in the right direction.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you can have gender neutral going on, then we have like energetic neutral like that, which means an automatic ability, can't we, of believing in one and the other. We don't need to do either or. We can do both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right. Absolutely. Really, that's what we're saying here, isn't it? But we've had a blast night, guys. Listen, we've got to do this again. We've loved it.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a great evening. Can I just say very quickly, first of all, Lara, John, thank you very much for having me here this evening. And obviously with Bev, it's been wonderful to have your company as well. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And just to say to everybody that's been on my watch party this evening on my own profile, I've been watching all the comments. I know they haven't been joining in our comments here, but they've just been joining in saying how much they've really enjoyed this evening. And it's been fab. So just wanted to pass that on to you guys.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed it.
Well, that's brilliant. Well, John, you know Paul now, don't you?
Yeah.
Yes, I do. And I want to say,
I think how you're actually sitting on top of his head. Look, you're up there, and you're.
My head was getting a bit heavy.
It's that lockdown weight that I've put on.
COVID kilos, they call it. COVID kilos, darling.
Well, I used to be a skinny little thing. I was like this doll at the back of me here. I'm like,
Beth, it's been fabulous to have you on again. We've had a blast. We'll do this again, definitely. I'm going to say lots of help to everybody. Be safe tonight. And thank you so much for joining us. Please go and like and follow Paul Cissell Psychic Medium page. We've got Beth on Access Paranormal as well. Go over to her page, give her a like and follow. And you know the fabulous John Spratt Psychic Medium. Give him a like and follow as well if you're just new on here tonight, and we'll see you next time. Lots of love, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.